This week on Pit Stop with Don and James, we talk about a record-setting qualifying. We hand out another Bonehead of the Week award, and we praise Williams' triumphant return to the podium.
Welcome to Pit Stop with Don and James. I'm Don.
I'm James.
James, how we doing, man? I missed you last week.
I know. It was a good time talking to my dad again, but definitely missed you. Glad to be back. As you can see, I am proudly displaying all the Williams attire that I currently own.
Heck yeah, man! It's going to be something to talk about here going forward. But yeah, Williams, big day for them. I've got a consolation Piastri
very
jersey
nice.
on, and my dirty old McLaren hat because it was not a good day for McLaren at Baku.
Yeah, sort of a rough go all around. Starting with qualifying, man. I think we have to definitely mention qualifying because qualifying was so chaotic. Set a record for the most red flags ever in a Formula One Grand Prix qualifying session. Absolute chaos, man. Chaos that only a street circuit like Baku could produce. I don't even know where to begin on this one.
Well, yeah. First of all, Baku is such a cool place, right? One of the most scenic circuits we go to. Everybody loves the castle with the narrowest part of any track on the circuit. That the turns through the castle. I can't remember what the turn numbers are. I should know this, but through the castle, it's 8 meters wide. It looks precarious. It is precarious. I think they go through there in about third gear. But it's beautiful. It's actually, I had to look this up, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, right? So
Okay.
it's a center of cultural significance as defined by this UN committee, and so very cool place. And Azerbaijan, we don't think about Azerbaijan for whatever reason. No disrespect to the Azerbaijanis, but it doesn't come up that often. It's a pretty small place. But man, they got a cool place, cool country, and cool city there for a Formula One circuit. So, and yeah, you're right. Street circuit. It's one of the unique things about Formula One, and that they drive on these little circuits made out of people's everyday roads a handful of times. But yeah, complete chaos in qualifying, which was not replicated in the race. I'd say the race to an extent was a little tame. There was a few things that made it interesting, but it wasn't nearly the chaos in the race. But yeah, man, maybe we go through it kind of chronological, I guess, what happened in qualifying.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest disappointment would be the Alpines because both of them had to go. Pierre Gasly running wide, or I guess running wide, going straight on, missing the wall, unfortunately, but Colapinto getting caught out, being distracted by his teammate, and stuffed it into the wall at the same corner.
Right.
It's one thing when you crash out, but to have both cars exit in the same corner and being distracted by your own teammate and stuff in it, that's a whole different level of mistake right there.
Yeah, real bad for the Alpines. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Colapinto score his first points at Baku last year for Williams?
Possibly.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
It very well could be.
Let me check my notes. But
yeah, check while you're checking your notes. What was interesting is that although Colapinto crashed out, he still qualified 16th, while Pierre only qualified 18th. So, super tough.
Yeah.
Well, I say qualifying. That's where they started. The qualifying was a little different than the starting grid since Ocon was disqualified.
Well, and it wasn't all sunshine and roses for your Williams team. Yeah. Kind of the first incident that I had noted was that Albon kind of, we've been talking about Bonehead of the Day award, and
I
I can't
know.
really chalk it up any other way. There were a lot of people in qualifying that were getting caught out with tailwind. It was like super windy, and you could see stuff blowing around the circuit the whole day for qualifying. And I don't think that's the case with Albon. He just came in too hot on the turn one, I think it was, corner, and he just took his front left straight into the apex of the of the turn there. He was trying a little too hard to cut that thing close and caught the wall and binned it.
Yeah. I think there was a little element of wind if you go back and watch it kind of in the slower, like, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the wind or the grip or whatever, but he's turning and all of a sudden it really starts to turn on him more than he expects, and he just caught that front left, busted the suspension, and yeah, I was kind of hoping we could gloss over him in light of how well Sainz did today, but no, you're right. It was definitely one of the bonehead of the weekends.
Yeah, brought out the red flag. That was, I think, the first of the red flags that we saw. First of
Within the first
6.
5 minutes of qualifying, if I'm not mistaken,
I
right?
think you're right. Yeah,
It was. I think it was his second go around on the track, and that was it.
Yeah, that was rough, and it wasn't a great weekend for Albon. Things kind of just mounted, so that was a bummer. But yeah, we'll get to the Williams success in a minute. But yeah, he does that. We have Hulkenberg hitting the wall. We had Colapinto, of course, hit the wall, as you mentioned.
Really stuffed it. I think he had one of the biggest accidents.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I mean, I think I texted you while I was watching this. I was watching it a little before you. You were out and about, and I was like, just
That's right.
ruining your day, making you making you anticipate all this craziness from qualifying. And like almost everybody grazed the wall at some point. There was, I think, turn 15. People were catching that with their rear right as they came around that little. There's like a bump out in the Tech Pro. So many people touched that. Luckily, it didn't result in even more red flags. Took forever to get through qualifying, by the way. This is a little anecdote. My son he came by, and I was trying to get him to watch qualifying with me. He's like, I don't want to watch qualifying. It takes forever. It's like 2 hours long. This, by the way, is my son who's winning our Formula One fantasy.
And not even paying attention to it.
I can't even get him to watch the qualifying. And he's like, it takes like 2 hours. And I was like, nah, man, qualifying's like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then it took 2 hours for qualifying. He really
2.5.
Yeah, it was so long.
It was a long time.
Anyway, I mean, we have to, while we're talking about all these red flags, we have to mention then too, we get into Q3 and we have a big time.
Well, let's
shunt.
Wait, you missed Q2.
Okay.
Ollie Behrman breaking the rear suspension. He barely just kissed the wall. I mean, it looked like nothing because even Leclerc made the same mistake in the same corner. It was kind of funny. You watched where Behrman just kissed the wall, and then, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet up is where you could see Leclerc's kiss on the wall, just leaving their own indents. And Leclerc got away with it, but Behrman, man, busted his back right suspension, ending his day in Q2. I will say the Haas looked pretty quick. I was expecting him to kind of move up more than he did, but just couldn't keep it in on the track, which there is no runoff. So any little mistake is going to cost you here at Baku.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, crazy. And yeah, the Haas, it was not a great day for Haas overall, or a great weekend.
You want to talk about bad day? Hamilton, a Q2 exit.
Right. Yeah. And I don't even know what happened there. Was he just
couldn't figure it out?
I think that the wind might have been messing Hamilton up, and he was in P12 or something like that. And and like he didn't even finish his final attempt at a lap. He just like backed off of it and came into the pits. So I think it was that bad of a hot lap for him.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Ferrari, this was not their track. Um, it wasn't a great result for Ferrari. They ended up putting both cars in the points, but they didn't get very much out of it. And in the end, Mercedes now jumps them in the constructor. So
Yeah.
bad weekend for Ferrari. And what was funny is that in the free practices, um, I think I think Hamilton had commented that he finally felt like the car felt fast. So it was like he was feeling it in practice, and then when we hit qualifying, it all just went downhill.
Yeah.
So
But then,
mm.
yeah, Q3, man, Q3, we had two more exits. We had Charles Leclerc, who finally, after kissing the wall a handful of times and, brushing with death, he finally stuffed it. And Oscar Piastri. Piastri stuffed it as well.
Yep.
Man, to be the leader in the championship and stuff it into the wall like that,
And that wasn't
man,
even the worst thing that happened to him all weekend, which we will get to.
yeah.
But so Piastri stuffs it in the wall with about, I think he had 3 minutes and 41 seconds left on the clock, meaning there wasn't a lot of time for them to, because it's a long lap. It's a
Yeah.
really long lap. It wasn't a lot of time for cars to get back out there after the red flag, heat up the tires, and then put in a time. And of course, there's always the risk that during those hot laps, with people pushing the limits on this thing, someone's going to bin it again and ruin the rest of the race. At this point, I think at the point which Oscar goes out, only 3 cars had set times. And lucky for you, one of those
Yep.
guys was
That's right.
Carlos Sainz, and he had the fastest time on the board. And that's why I was texting you. I'm like, dude, you're never going to believe this. And I couldn't tell you what was going on, but I'm like, you're not going to believe this. It's Sainz. What was it? Sainz, Lawson, and
Yeah.
who was the third
Antonelli.
car? And Antonelli? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, and there's only that 341. The championship leader is now out of the question, and there's rain starting during the red flag, which, if you're not putting two together, you got 3 cars with times on slick tires, and you've got now 6 other cars haven't set times, and they might be going on to wet tires if that rain picks up. So you go on to wet tires, you aren't going to touch those slick tire times, right? So if
Exactly.
that rain starts coming down, now you've got pole position for Sainz locked up. And that's almost what happened, but the rain kind of comes down and then backs off.
Yeah. Max Verstappen taking P1, but Sainz still coming in at P2. And surprisingly, man, Lawson. How great must that have felt after being sacked by Red Bull and demoted to Racing Bulls, to then not only do you surpass Yuki Tsunoda, the guy who replaced you, but you come in a top 3 for qualifying? Man, what a legend. What
Yeah.
a legend. That he must have been feeling on top of the world. And you know what? Even during the race, he almost converted it. He still had a really good run to the
Yeah.
race,
Oh, yeah.
which some people did not have such a good run during the race.
Yeah. Lawson started the race. Where did he start? P3? P4?
P3.
Started P3, but he dropped only 2 spots to George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. So the Mercedes were the ones who kind of pushed him back, but which is, a faster car. The Mercedes is a faster
Right.
car. So not really horrible for him to lose out spots to those guys and finish P5. I mean, that's a good result.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should start at the beginning of the race, because everybody's queuing up. Piastri, although he crashed out in qualifying, he still is starting in the top 10, but he totally jumps the start and then kicks in the anti-stall, and before the first corner, he is down to dead last.
Yeah, man.
On the grid. And then he's trying to make up time. He's bobbing and weaving. And then in turn 5, on that quick little left-hander, stuffs it into the wall on the very first lap. What a horrible weekend. Definitely a weekend to forget for Piastri.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? We talked about this before with some results from Charles where it was like desperate driving. I
Mm-hmm.
think this was a immature mistake from Oscar, which we don't usually see. Right? He was so eager to make up ground on the start that he jumped the start, which I mean, you just can't do that, man. And he anti-stalled, which is the worst thing that can happen. He was looking at a possible penalty, but instead just ends up, at dead last. I mean, come on. Then he's really desperate. It just gets the best of him. He tries too hard and locks up, and that's all she wrote. Now, when that happens, of course, and I've been saying this for weeks, Lando's chance is a DNF for Oscar, right? If he
Yes.
gets a DNF, now Lando's got a chance to put a bunch of points on the board without Oscar scoring anything. So that's the chance to close up the gap. But Lando didn't qualify particularly well, was starting, where did he start? P7? P.
Who? Lando?
Lando, yeah.
Yeah, he did start P7. You're right.
Which, that's a lot of ground to make up if he's going to get up into the podium positions. And I think he was kind of counting on a safety car or something like that, But
Yeah,
but
just
anyway,
kind of like as a side note, for a team and a car that has been so dominant this season, they were so out of place this weekend.
mm-hmm.
I think, had Oscar not crashed out, I think we would have seen him be a little higher up on the grid, definitely maybe in the top five. But even still, to be only in the top five and not absolutely dominating like they have been, I don't know what's going on with the Red Bull, man. They have just, I don't know where it's come from. They have found something in the car and just moved up. So I don't know what this is going to mean for the rest of the season.
Max is looking sharp. The Red
Yeah,
Bull seems capable. And in fact, the second Red Bull today of Yuki, um, I mean, he had a decent race. This was a good weekend for Yuki, right? I mean, comparatively.
finally, finally. Yeah, and so with Piastri, jumping the start, not only does he mess up, but he screws up Fernando Alonso, who's right behind him.
Yep.
Alonso not paying attention to the lights and just paying attention to Piastri, jumps the start right behind him, gets a 5-second penalty, I believe it was.
It was. Yeah.
It was a rough one. And then also on the first lap, more of a traditional first lap from Baku, we saw some contact. We saw Hulkenberg and Ocon come together down down in turn 6, right after, they where is it? Right after Piastri crashes. It almost happens at roughly the same time, just because they were slightly ahead. Um, that was kind of a rough one. I don't know if anything came of that. I don't think any penalties were handed out from those two. I
No.
think it was just kind of chalked up to a racing incident. No DNF from that, just contact, a little loss of body work, and that's usually what you really see on a first lap from Baku.
Yeah. I'll note as well that on the start of the race, Lando lost a place, went down to P8. I
Yep.
mean, it was a bad start to the race for
In which,
McLaren.
well, Norris is never really good on the starts to begin with, right? I think
Right?
we've made that joke a handful of times.
Yep. Yeah, the starts and apparently restarts. Not his not his strong suit. I don't know what the deal is. He's young. He should have reaction time. I don't know what's going on, but it's not his thing.
Yeah.
Um,
On the restart for lap 6, what are your thoughts on Kimi pushing Russell out wide into turn 1? Russell almost hit the wall, and he lost out a spot to Yuki. I think that was a little dirty from Kimi to do on your own teammate like that.
um, yeah, the commentators that I was listening to, I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Jolyon Palmer? I think, and nobody seemed to think much of it, and they thought it was just aggressive racing by Kimi. I didn't really get a good look at it myself, but yeah, I mean, It was dangerous. And George wasn't happy. He just basically let out a long curse on the radio.
Yeah.
Uh, so um, I don't know. Yeah, probably not the best thing to do to your teammate. But yeah, uh, I don't know. I guess I didn't think it was as dirty as it could have been.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked kind of aggressive to me, especially for being a teammate. But I mean, your teammate is your first rival,
Yeah.
right? So, and then you kind of mentioned earlier how the Mercedes were so stinking quick this race. So Yuki got past Russell during that incident, but then 4 laps later on lap 10, Russell is right back past Yuki on lap, was it for fifth? To start lap 10, I believe it was turn 1 or 2 is where it happened. And they were both on hard tires as well. So sort of an equal playing ground. And man, that I don't know what Russell was on, because he made Yuki look like he was driving an F2 with how fast he went by him.
Well, Russell was sick this weekend with something. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was, but he put in a great performance. It was like the Michael Jordan flu game, I guess, with that guy.
Yeah.
He he was feeling it and got an amazing result out of it. But yeah, you're right. Lap 10, he took P5 back from Yuki, but that wasn't all the ground he would make up in the rest of the race.
Yeah.
Did really well. There was another point I was going to make, and now I'm blanking on it. But well, so they did eventually, kind of early mid race. It came on the radio, and George was looking for team orders to try to get past his teammate, because he felt like he had a tire advantage and wanted to attack Liam Lawson up in P3. So I think they kind of orchestrated that. It wasn't they did basically implemented team orders, but not by just doing an overtake. They brought Kimmy in before they brought in George. Oh, this was the point I was going to make. You mentioned the hard tires. This is kind of, I guess maybe this might be a clue into why McLaren was not their usual self today. It must have something to do with the track. The hard tire was the tire for this track, right? So something different about this. Usually your soft tire is going to give you the most speed, and it just wasn't giving them the most speed on this track. So something different was going on. It had something to do with wind, I think. But also, I don't know if it's just the surface of the track or what, but the hard tire was the better tire. So I don't know if that made it so that like this track served better for the Mercedes car, for one, worked against McLaren and Ferrari. I don't know. That's just kind of a clue, I guess.
Yeah. Going back to your point about the team orders, it wasn't so much team orders. So Kimmy was leading Russell, and they brought Kimmy in on lap 19. I suspect it was to get out of the way of Russell and kind of give Russell some clean air, because they were both running within half a second of each other, I think. And then the driver ahead of Kimmy was just a half a second ahead too. So they're just kind of in this DRS train, not really going anywhere. So they needed to shake things up. And then, but right before then, in lap 17, continuing on the Bonehead of the Weekend award, Albon, he punts Franco Colapinto, man. He made, I think you're right. It's just that desperation that drivers feel, and they just make the mistakes in that desperation, because he tried to stuff it down on the inside of Franco. I think it's in turn 5 where Piastri crashed out on that left-hander. And he was so far back. That was never going to work in any scenario with any driver, no matter how you were going to try and spin it. It was clearly an error on Albon's part. Franco obviously came off worse, right? They were both running in the back of the field. They were 18th, 19th anyways. Franco got spun around, looped it, kept the car running, which is really good. Albon lost his front wing plate. Just that
and
bonehead of the weekend award, man. It definitely goes to Albon this
and
weekend.
they gave him a 10-second penalty for that one,
And he
as
did
well.
get a
So
10-second penalty.
yeah,
Uh well deserved on that one.
yeah,
Like he definitely punted him. It was
yeah.
definitely his fault. I can't argue with that one.
Yeah, yeah, no, it wasn't Albon's weekend for sure. I wonder if it stung a little more to see his teammate and the result that Carlos got out of this thing. But
Yeah. I
anyway,
mean, Albon only started P19 because Ocon was disqualified. So had Ocon not been disqualified, Albon would have been at the very back starting in
yeah,
P20. So definitely different from his teammate, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so that happened on that con that contact between Albon and Colapinto was lap 17, as according to my notes.
Yep.
And then lap 19 is when Kimi Antonelli comes into pit from the medium to the hard. Then there kind of becomes a bunch of cars starting to pit, right? So Leclerc pits on lap 20, Lawson on 21, and somehow Lawson comes out ahead of Antonelli uh,
Yeah,
from
I
that
had
pit
that in my
stop.
notes, man.
That was nice for Lawson and the Racing Bulls team to turn that pit stop around and make that call to get ahead or stay ahead of Antonelli there. Um, but then ultimately Antonelli does get a nice pass on Lawson. What happens is I think, Lawson comes into the pits. He goes out and he's trying to heat up the tires, right? He's trying to get those. I think he went on to hard tires, trying to get some heat in there so that he can, get his grip. And Antonelli had pitted a lap earlier, and his tires were warm, so Lawson just couldn't defend. In fact, I think the commentators might have made the uh, uh, assumption too that Lawson had deployed all of his electric energy, his boost energy to defend on that lap, and then just didn't have anything else to defend against the Antonelli attack. So they do a nice job with the strategy, but it also, I mean, these are always like little nuances, right, of Formula One. Like you come out ahead, but if you're not far enough ahead, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose out on your colder tires.
Yeah, I don't think people really realize how much the pit stops really affect can affect the race because it is all down to hundredths of a second in the pit lane. You're going significantly slower. I think it's 50 kilometers per hour is the speed limit in the pit lanes. And then you're stationary. And how long you're stationary is where it determines where you come out. Just 1/10 that puts you down, you know, tens, if not 100 feet on the track behind somebody. So yeah, it was a rough one. I will say Lawson had been doing a really good job in P3 holding off the McLarens,
Mm-hmm.
not McLarens, the Mercedes, holding off the Mercedes. So, as fast as we said the Mercedes were, Lawson did such a good job keeping them behind. Really good defending. Of course, it is a very narrow street circuit. So there's really only a handful of places. And, as we've seen, if you try to make a move in the wrong spot, the result can be disastrous.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things about the track, right, is because there's a couple of DRS zones and places where you can make a late break, but people were putting it in those walls on some of those turns, the like turn 5, turn 4. Um, you know, you got to be really careful. And they have a couple of runoff areas, and I mean, if you can take the runoff, that's okay, but you're going to lose a lot of time going in there and having to do a spin turn and come back out on the track, and which we saw tons of people pushing it to the limit in qualifying. They were being way more careful during the race, right? We didn't see nearly as many people grazing the wall. I mean, part of that's because race pace is, it's you've backed off of qualifying pace, so
Right.
you're not pushing it to the absolute limit through every turn. There might have been less wind on race day as well, but yeah. Um, the next significant thing after the Antonelli and Lawson battle is that they have to decide what to do with Sainz, right? And Sainz, this, his craftiness kind of came into play and was mentioned in the broadcast. He goes on the radio and he's like, "Look, you guys got to keep an eye on Russell, who's behind me at this point. If he gets into a certain zone, we got to play it right so that he doesn't undercut us on the pit, because by right now those guys up at the top had not pit. They waited a long
Right.
time." And I think that they were hoping that one of those back markers was going to hit the wall, bring out the safety car or red flag, and people get cheap or free pit stops. I mean, that was kind of the name of the game in this race, right? Go on the hard tire, see how long you can make it last, or a medium tire for, in the case of Lando Norris, and then hope for chaos. I mean, all signs pointed to chaos yesterday, right? In the qualifying session, it seemed like there was going to be red flags and yellow flags all over the place, and they didn't turn up.
Yeah. I don't know if Sainz pit way too early, because he pit on lap 28. He came out in P6. Now, when he came out in P6, everybody that was ahead of him had still yet to pit, right? But Russell didn't pit until the end of lap 39, I believe it was. So 10 laps, maybe even 11 laps. But he comes out ahead of Sainz to maintain. So Russell maintained his P2 position.
Yeah. I mean,
and that was it, man. Russell was in the clean air and he took off. Sainz came, I think when Russell came out, I think Sainz was already a second and a half, maybe 1.3 seconds behind.
Yep.
But he quickly pulled out a gap on Sainz. It wasn't even, there was no contest.
Yep. The Mercedes was faster. We can't deny that. And they nailed the pit stop. Williams nailed the pit stop too. But you're right. Like I mean, I don't know if it was the wrong time that they pit, or it was just the fact that the Mercedes was just the faster car, because he was able to build enough of a gap that when he did pit, I mean, it was right on the cusp of what it was, the average loss time was, right? Like the average loss was between 19 and 20 seconds, and that was the gap. So I was expecting it to be close, and Mercedes nailed it. I mean, he came out over a second. He was outside of DRS when he came out. Now, if he came out in second place ahead of Sainz, and Sainz had DRS and tires that were not cold, maybe we would have seen a battle. But Mercedes freaking nailed it, and Russell ends up stealing P2 from Sainz, which was a little bit of a sting for me. Like I was watching this, I'm like, his mind's gonna be blown, right? Like P2 for Williams, not just a podium, but a P2. That would have been freaking amazing. And as it turns out, they get a podium, which is freaking phenomenal for Williams. I mean,
heck yeah.
So we've only teased it so far. We'll say it now. Sainz takes P3, a Williams legit on the podium. This is amazing. Yes. I think the last podium they got was Russell, right? George Russell for Williams, and in a not real
race, yeah. And that's only because he qualified I think he qualified P2. He qualified is what P2. Russell qualified for. Yeah, that was Spa when it was rained out.
Yeah, so and they just followed the safety car around in the order that they qualified, and then he got a P2, which was great. It was a fun thing to talk about. But I mean, it wasn't a race really, and this was a legit race, legit competition, great qualifying, and then a very well managed race for Williams to snag that podium. And I mean, what an accomplishment for Vowles, right? James Vowles. To have gone from really a struggling team to this year they've scored, and I mean before this race they had scored like 80 something points, and I think that the stat was that was more points than their previous 7 years combined. And then Carlos has put in 16 points all year this year, which he's been significantly behind what Albon has achieved. But then he gets 15 points for a P3 finish, so basically doubles his points haul for the year. And really, I mean, great day for Williams Racing.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I'm sure you can imagine, I follow Williams, I follow all the drivers, I follow James Vowles, I follow them all on social media. And James Vowles does a really good job of being engaged on social media. And he was talking about, as you saw from Sainz, they had a quick car. They understood the high speed and how the tires were going to work. So had Albon not bend it in Q1, I really think he would have had a really good job, uh, been up higher, because even during the race, he started at the back of the field. He finished P11 with his 10-second penalty. He dropped down to P13, but he was almost back into the points on his own merit. That's how quick they were around this track.
Yeah, I mean, huge improvements for the Williams, and yeah, looking bright for their future. So, and Carlos has been trying to find it and found it, and was able to use his craftiness. That is definitely a thing that has been a theme over the course of Carlos's career. So this is the kind of thing that Williams has been waiting for. And this one's almost as special as the Hulkenberg podium for me. I'm sure it is for you, as special or more, to see your team kind of coming back to their form. So congratulations to you, congratulations to Williams, congratulations to Sainz. That was awesome.
Heck yeah, man. A day to remember for sure. I'm sure they're gonna put out some special merch. I'm sure I'm gonna buy it. It's gonna be a good time.
Very cool.
We're gonna celebrate.
Well, I might even need to buy it because I was so inspired by that. That was cool, and not a day for my team, which is rare. McLaren has been mopping everybody up this year, so it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah. Maybe to kind of move things along. I mentioned earlier how good Lawson was at defending, and he did it again for basically the last, I don't know, 8 laps or so of the race. Lawson was leading Yuki, Norris, and Hamilton. So P5 through 8. Lawson held them all off, man. Yuki could not get past in his Red Bull. Even Norris couldn't get past Yuki, right?
Right.
Yuki kept in the DRS, but it was so strange to me that even though it was a DRS train every lap, right? And no matter what Yuki did, he could not get past Lawson. That car was just so dang fast, even on the straights. So kudos to Lawson, man. He really put in the work today.
Well, and I mean, against the guy who replaced him at Red Bull, right? I think he might have had something to prove there, right?
For
Lawson,
sure.
like, I am not letting Yuki by me.
Absolutely, man.
I got this. The Mercedes, okay, they beat me on speed, but I'm not letting Yuki get by me. I'll mention too. You mentioned about the importance of pit stops earlier. Norris comes in to pit on lap 38, and they freaking blow it, and he has a 4.1 second stop. I mean, you talk about a mess. Okay, so Norris is in P7, and you said it's a DRS train. 4.1 seconds. That's probably 2 seconds longer than it should have taken him. 2 seconds puts him ahead of Lawson in that DRS train, and ahead of Yuki. So that's 2 positions, and that's ground he could have made up on the championship lead to get back to Austria. That's a lot of points, man. That's a mess up by McLaren in that pit stop, and I was ticked.
More importantly, he came out behind Charles. That was the guy he was battling against, and he needed that clean pit stop to be ahead of him. But it just didn't work out, man. That front right, I don't know. It happened so fast. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the nut wasn't on and they didn't notice it and had to go back and fix it, or a sticky wheel gun, whatever it was. That 2 seconds was it, man.
Yeah,
that was it. That was everything.
That was their chance right there. And I think there's a significantly different outcome if that doesn't happen, right?
And this was the race that Norris needed to close the gap.
Yes.
Your teammate is out. He's not getting any points. You have all the opportunity in the world to close that gap. And Norris only closed it by 6 points.
Yep.
So I think he's exactly 25 points behind right now. So he needs another DNF from Piastri and him to come first in order
and win.
to tie things up. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. I don't see another DNF in Oscar's future. It's just so rare, you know. What he needs right now is for someone to sign Nicholas Latifi.
Yeah. For the last few races of the season.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, so you mentioned there's a DRS train. It's Lawson in P5, Sonoda P6, Norris P7, Hamilton P8. They are all in DRS of the car ahead, and nobody can get anywhere. I mean, this is one of the difficulties on a difficult circuit like this. There's not a lot of room to pass. The DRS zones, you know, they open up, and then you can't. Your advantage with the DRS is nullified by the car ahead of you also having a DRS. So, you know, they just can't shake up that order, those four cars, and it's a battle, and it's somewhat interesting for the last, you know, probably 10 laps or so, but nobody can make a move. Yeah, that's kind of how that order stays and ends. So, was there anything else that significant that happened there? I mean, the only thing that kind of comes to mind is that the gap that Max had built was like 25 or 30 seconds. I can't even remember, 28 seconds maybe. So he easily comes in, pits. They don't even have to do a clean pit stop for him to get back out into P1. I mean, great drive by Red Bull. And like you mentioned earlier, like Red Bull is finding it again. If Yuki can put in these type of results, now we're looking at a P2 battle in the constructors, even, you know?
The thing is it's his best result of the season. Previously, it had been P9. He had 2 P9 results, and everything other than that was either a DNF or outside of the points. It's really odd to say that a P6 is the best that a Red Bull driver has done. And, you know, especially in the last few years, so in this day and age. Obviously, hats off to Yuki. Had a great run this weekend. You know, even though he had a really good run finishing P6, in the standings, he's still down in 17th. He still only has 20 points to his name.
Yeah.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But if he can pull P6s and Max can keep winning, I mean, first of all, we're seeing brilliance from Max. I hope people can appreciate it. The dude is an animal. He is a natural born racing driver. He's aggressive. He's smart. And he's doing, you know, amazing stuff. I mean, I mentioned on one of the off weeks recently about, you know, Max, maybe we saw the last win for a while for Max at Imola, like way back in the early part of the season. And then he won 2 races in a row. This is crazy. I mean, this is awesome. Did he won the previous race, right? Yeah. Italy.
Yeah. Italy.
So yeah, I mean, we're seeing brilliance for Max. I think that not all is lost for Red Bull if Yuki can continue to put mid points, you know, that really will help them way better than what he was doing, maybe getting an occasional P9, you know? So anyway.
Yeah. You mentioned, great points. I think you already mentioned that Mercedes have jumped Ferrari in the constructors standings. This is huge, right?
Yeah.
We have been talking about all season about, you know, outside of the McLarens, that it was going to be Mercedes and Ferrari in the constructors, with Red Bull barely holding on. But even in the midfield in the driver's standings, you know, these Mercedes guys, George is still P4, Antonelli's still down in 7th, but everything is still to play for, man. There's only 7 races left. Everything is coming down to the wire. You know, the championship is still up for grabs. Nobody has secured anything. The only people that have really secured anything are McLaren and the constructors. You know, they haven't officially solidified it yet, but I can't imagine, you know, both drivers are going to get DNFs for the next 7 races. So fairly confident they're going to patch this one up quickly.
If you want to see a broken man have those two McLarens DNF the rest of the way out and lose the Constructors' Championship, and I will show up to this thing with my shoulders down. But yeah, they could have secured the championship this weekend. They needed a P1 and a P3. If they got a P1, P3, that would have been it. Or P1, P2, obviously, but a P1, P3, if they would have done that. And that, to say that that should be kind of a crazy thing. Like, it's hard to do, but that's been par for the course for McLaren this year. So everybody was expecting them to be celebrating, locking up the Constructors' Championship. And they didn't even come close to it this time. So we'll see what happens when we get to the next race, which is Singapore. Singapore, challenging race in the heat. But we'll see if it plays to their car. I think they've got a definite chance to lock it up then. And on the driver's side, yeah, that's unsettled. But like we were saying, it seems like it could be Oscar's year. If he doesn't have another DNF, it's going to be very hard for Lando to make up the ground. Over 7 races of 25 points. And then the other thing that I will note too, it was a great day for Mercedes, with 18 points for George Russell coming in P2, which is, a heck of a drive for George Russell, who was under the weather. And then P4 for Kimi Antonelli brings in 12 points. So 30 points total for Mercedes. That's a very good haul of points. But even with that haul of points, Red Bull outscored Mercedes today, 25 points for Max and 8 for Yuki. So they got 33 points. Nice. And that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, they're creeping because Max has kept them alive through a kind of a bad,
the whole season.
Spell. Yeah, a bad spell. And so if Yuki can continue to put in points, then they continue to chip away. And I don't know how much we can expect for them, but yeah, I don't think anyone's taking it from McLaren, but there's going to be a battle for P2, P3, coming down these last 7 races.
Yeah, and it is still all to play for. You said Antonelli got a good haul of points today. He has jumped Alex Albon in the standings. He is now currently sitting 7th. Albon has dropped down to 8th, but Carlos Sainz, because of the points he brought in today, he is up to 12th in the standings. A huge jump.
Nice.
The individual that is ahead of him, Lance Stroll, in P11 by only 1 point. So Carlos just has to get ahead of Stroll and Hülkenberg for in the points for the last few races, and I think both Williams will finish in the top 10. It's a very realistic goal to have.
Oh yeah, I think Lance cannot hang on. The Aston Martin has been so inconsistent, and Lance, of course, he's been inconsistent. That's the kind of the word I would use to describe Lance. We make fun of him. He's a little bit. I think the nepo baby thing kind of follows him around, which is unfortunate because he's not slow. He's a decent driver. You don't make it up to this level even with a billionaire dad that buys your team. He's got to be able to perform somewhat, and he's put in some points and scored. And when he was in a fast car, he's put it on the podium. So.
Yeah, you know what? Last weekend when I was talking with my dad, we were talking about Baku races. Lance Stroll's first season, this is where he got his first podium. Yeah, in a Williams.
Yeah. So yeah,
he's had moments of brilliance, but you're right, he is not consistent.
He's not consistent, and so I don't think he's going to hang on to that. The Aston Martin car just isn't great enough to, I don't think, for him to to hold off Albon or. Sainz, who did you say was right behind him? Would you say Albon or Sainz?
Sainz is right behind him. Sainz is right behind him by 1 point. By 1 point. That's it.
I think the Williams is a better car than the Aston, so I think it's just a matter of time before Sainz takes that spot from him.
I'm hoping he can take the spot, not because I dislike Lance, but because I just really need the Williams to both be in the top 10 by the end of the season.
Yeah, I think it's coming, man. I think you got this. Maybe don't count your chickens before they hatch,
I know, man.
but uh, I think we'll see that happen. So we had, okay, let's just recap this. Of course, we said Max P1, Russell P2, Sainz P3, Antonelli P4, Lawson P5, great finish for Lawson, Yuki P6, Lando P7. I mean, come on, Lando, what is this? Behind
Yeah.
Liam and Yuki. And then, the Ferraris in P8 and P9, Hamilton and then Leclerc. And that's just not a good day for Ferrari. 6 total points on the day.
Yeah, very out of place today.
Yep. And then Hajar sneaks another point in there. So good. I mean, not a great result for Hajar, but I mean, still both racing bulls in the points. That's a decent day for them. And then just outside of the points, we've got Bortoletto in P11, Behrman in P12, and Albon somehow sneaks up to P13.
P11 before the penalty, so he had a really good race.
Right.
Almost made it all the way up.
Yeah, so something was working for that Williams today.
Yeah, man, they were just quick. And just kind of touching on Lawson, he got 10 points to his name, so he's up in 13th in the standings, and a whole 10 points ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda, man. There were rumors around. I've seen it kind of working, through all the the factories that put out all the what's the word I'm looking for? Rumors. The rumor mills. Yeah, the multiple rumor mills that they are already saying that Hajar has the seat for next year, and whether Yuki will just be demoted or lose the seat entirely is still up for debate. So I'm hoping Yuki won't be punted out of the series. I really like Yuki, despite him having a rough season. But I think Hajar, man, I expect good things for him. And then, man, so I don't know if you heard, but after the cars had done their parade lap at the end of the race and they come back in, whoever the DJ was playing Smooth Operator over the loudspeaker for Carlos Sainz as he was milling around the pits, congratulating the team and, walking around celebrating.
Good old Carlos Sainz, the Smooth Operator. Yeah.
The Smooth Operator. That made me laugh a little bit. Even my wife couldn't help laugh a little bit at that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool, man. I mean, that's kind of the story of the day. It really wouldn't be the story of the day, except that because I think Max winning was also pretty surprising and a great story. But
back-to-back wins.
But I mean, come on, man! A Williams on the podium Williams means so much to Formula One racing. They're such a historic team. They're one of those outfits that's it's not like a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a McLaren that are an auto manufacturer. It's a racing team, a good old fashioned racing team started up by Frank Williams, and so really cool to see the turnaround. And I don't want to end this on a sour note, but I will say too that not about McLaren, but every car was on the lead lap except for one team's car. You can guess who it is. It's Alpine. Both cars were down a lap. This is not good for Alpine. I mean, Alpine's got to figure something out, man. Flavio Briatore cannot be happy about this. Neither can Pierre Gasly. Colapinto was done a little bit dirty because he got clipped, but
he got punted.
But something is not right over there, and I don't know what the scoop is there.
Yeah, they've just kind of gone backwards. At the opening, Pierre finished P11 just outside the points, and then he had a disqualification in China. China was such a crazy weekend.
Yeah.
But he's had points, right? He has 20 points to his name. But ever since, I think it's since Belgium or maybe Hungary, the last 4 races, he has been so far down. Even Canada and Austria, significantly down. So there's been just kind of moments and luck and strategy playing obviously a role in it, but just can't make it connect. And then Colapinto is still the only driver without a point to his name this season. It's been a rough one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll have to think about this one and see what's going on at Alpine. And I hate to see it for Gasly because I feel like Gasly, he's been around the sport for a long time and he's been going backwards in his career almost, right? I mean, he was with the Red Bull Racing and got a
Yeah.
shot to drive in the Red Bull and didn't impress them enough to keep the second seat to Max and got demoted to Racing Bulls. And then, every step since then has not helped him get into a top car. So I like Pierre Gasly. I think he's got some skill, he's got some savvy, but it's not working for him. And hopefully he can figure something out. And obviously the Alpine team has to figure something out because I don't think it's just the drivers. I think this is the car. It's just not a good car. So
Yeah, yeah. He's Red Bull has a really good history of picking really good drivers. Gasly being one of them, and you're right, man. He has just gone backwards because he went to Toro Rosso, promoted to Red Bull, and then demoted back down to AlphaTauri, and which is where he got his maiden win, his very first win, I believe, and it just hasn't worked out for him. Back down to Alpine. Alpine's just gone backwards. Um, obviously there's been turmoil with the leadership at Alpine. They currently don't, I still think officially they don't have a leader. Flavio is still just technically filling in for them. So maybe I think that's where it needs to start. They need to sort out their leadership and everything will follow. Sort of like how Williams has done, right? They brought in James Voles and look where he's brought the team in just the past couple of years. So
yeah.
Next year's everything to play for. I think this season they've just kind of given up and they're just going to look forward to the 2026 season. It's been a rough one, but with all the regulation changes next year, man, anything can happen. I'm hoping, Williams can find a little something and put them back at least in the top 5. I would be super stoked with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, they're making strides. I think Voles has them going the right way, and that's definitely the good news story we should focus on. I shouldn't have brought this thing down my Alpine comment, but I just happened to notice that they were so bad that they were the only cars not on the lead lap. But yeah, that can't diminish your joy for Sainz taking that podium on straight merit. Savvy driving, good pit stops, very, very cool. Very cool for them. I think right now, I didn't think that the Hulkenberg podium that he got after 239 races could be rivaled. But I mean, I'm going to say it like the Williams getting that podium was big for them. And so, yeah, that's the story of the day. and it's going to rival for the story of the year, I think.
Yeah, man, it's definitely going to go down as one of the most memorable seasons, I think, for Williams. Seeing the struggles that they've had in the past, I don't know, decade. This is definitely one to remember and to celebrate. But looking forward, we have another street course coming up. Not next week. We have a bye week next week, but Singapore Grand Prix has provided some interesting races in the past as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to what happens. Only 7 races left, and Singapore is going to kick it off.
Yeah, Singapore, cool racetrack, hot weather. I seem to remember George Russell getting like dehydrated to the point of sickness. That was either last year or the year before. It was. We'll see. I'm expecting. I don't know if this is like a bold take or whatever, but I'm expecting McLaren to rebound. I don't think that McLaren's gonna have 2 stinkers in a row. So I'll be expecting them to perform. But you know what? Right now, Max is dangerous. I don't know that we can we're gonna have to watch him, because if he's doing this well, he can win another one.
I think you're right. Did you want to give any bold predictions going into Singapore?
All right, I'm just gonna call the podium right now. It's gonna be Lando P1. It's gonna be Max P2, and it's gonna be Oscar P3. That will chunk into the Oscar lead a little bit more. So that's my bold prediction. I'm gonna pick the podium for you.
Yeah, man, you want to talk about bold? There it is. Well, since Lando Norris won it last year, I'm gonna go that he's gonna have a repeat, and Norris is gonna take P1. I'm gonna put Verstappen at P2, but I am gonna throw it out there. I know it's not exactly a super quick track, so I don't know how well they'll be suited, but I'm gonna go ahead and put both Williams top 10.
That I love that. Who's going to be the third podium position, though, man? You just picked my same. Top two. Who's the third?
I'm gonna put Piastri gets another DNF, and George Russell is gonna round it out in P3.
Oh, I like this. I like
Norris
this.
Norris is gonna tie it up.
If that happens, now we go in with 6 races left tied. But I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it'll happen either. Not truly. But man, wouldn't it make for such a great story if it did?
You pulled a real Don there on the bold prediction. I mean, you just went.
Maybe it's more wishful thinking than bold prediction.
I mean, that would be if we get a race that tight. Well, I mean, where would we compare that? Would that be like a Senna Prost kind of a thing, or a
only if Norris punts him. then it would definitely be a Senna Prost thing.
Yeah.
Although I don't know that, and it would be at McLaren, which is where they did it to each other. So who knows?
We've been saying it now for a while. Like, McLaren's been so dominant that one of the things that would be interesting is which of their drivers is going to win it, and like what kind of drama is it going to stir up as we get down to the end of the season, and if we go in tied with a few races left, I mean, that's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I'm super excited. I'm a little sad that we have a bye week in between. I'm so ramped up and amped up. I just want to get to the next race already, but it's gonna have to wait.
Yeah. All right.
So thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, you bet, man.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it was nice to be back. Yeah, very interesting race this week, and we're just gonna keep our eyes on this very interesting, rest of the season. Seven races to go.
7 seasons to go, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and adios.
Adios.